Hi everyone, I'm Amy with Eating Healthy, Spending Less, and today I'm going to show you how to make a sourdough starter. So sourdough bread is an absolute love of mine and my husband's because we were gluten-free for over 7 years, and we were so excited when a friend told us that if you have a gluten allergy or an intolerance of some sort to wheat, a lot of times you can tolerate sourdough. And she explained to us that during the fermentation process of making a sourdough starter, the gluten is actually broken down by 60%. And we were like, you think we can do this? And so we tried it and it worked. It did take us a few weeks for our body to adjust. We started in small quantities of sourdough, and now we can eat as much sourdough as we want. It's wonderful. I will say, however, if you have celiac disease, then you want to stay far away from wheat, sourdough, all of it, because that is a totally different topic. But if you went gluten-free just because you were just having some stomach upsets, constipation, or inflammation, then rest assured you can try sourdough. And I'm going to teach you how easy it is to make. This is my friend Grace's recipe, and it is the best. There are so many different sourdough techniques all over the internet, but this has worked for me, and we have been making bread for several months now, and there's no going back. We do use a food scale, which I'll show you in a minute, and I like using a food scale because it means that the sourdough that I'm creating is going to be precisely the same every single time. If I were to not use a food scale, I could maybe mess up the starter, make it too liquidy or too thick, and then also mess up the bread recipe, which I don't want to do. There is so many steps in making the sourdough bread. So I do have a video on how to make sourdough bread if you'd like to check that out. And I'm really excited to share this process with you. This is my sourdough starter. As you can see, there's lots of bubbles, and this is exactly what you want your sourdough starter to look like. This is the food scale that I use. I will link it down in the description box, and it's very inexpensive, just about $13 or so. I'm going to put a little glass bowl over the top just so that you can see. You can use any bowl of your choosing, but I would stay away from stainless steel as it can affect the fermentation process. The first thing we're going to do is zero out our kitchen scale, and you want to make sure it's on grams. And we're going to add 120 grams of water, which equals about a half of a cup. Okay, close enough. And now we're going to add the flour. Okay, we're going to zero out the scale and add 120 grams of flour, which equals about 1 cup. Okay, there we go. Now we're just going to mix the two together. For the next 24 hours, we are totally done with this starter. We're going to come back on the second day, 24 hours later, and we're going to refeed our starter. To store the starter, I like to use just a simple cotton type linen napkin. Whatever you want to use is fine. You can use a terry cloth towel. You're just going to set this over the top. Now, I will say that if you are in colder temperatures, it's very important that you do not set it on a cold surface. Keep it on a towel or put it in a cabinet. Having it in a warm place next to your stove is ideal. I like to put mine in this cabinet. When it comes to the type of water and flour that you use to make your sourdough starter, it really doesn't matter. So many people have their favorites. I personally love the King Arthur brand because it's just 2 ingredients and I like the quality of it, but you can use tap water, purified water, all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour. You decide. It will work. After 24 hours, it's time to feed your starter again. You're going to discard about half of your starter. I know discarding seems wasteful, but just remember, building your starter is key in the beginning. Then you don't have to discard anymore. I never do now. So you're going to feed your starter 120 grams of water and 120 grams of flour. Lay your cloth napkin or towel back over the top and let it sit again in your cabinet. Day 3, things start getting a little bit more exciting. Check out those bubbles. You're going to start seeing bubbles form at the top of your starter. You're going to start feeding your starter 2 times per day, starting on day 3. You're going to discard half and then feed your starter with 120 grams of water and 120 grams of flour. Around day 3 through 5, you are going to start smelling a very odd sourdough. It's going to smell very sour and kind of gross, but it's just part of the fermentation process. No worries, it's going to be okay. As you continue to feed your starter every morning and every night, you are going to start noticing a change in the smell. Like I said earlier, you're going to have a very interesting smell for a few days. But as the days go on, you're going to start smelling a sourdough type bread smell. And it's going to be so good. You always want to keep a clean bowl, especially around the rim, so that your towel lays nicely over the top. I just use a wet paper towel. You will know your starter is ready when it's nice and bubbly and has a very sour smell, a lot like sourdough bread. And here is the finished product. This is my nice bubbly starter. It is ready to go and perfect for making sourdough bread. If you're feeling unsure about your sourdough starter, I am going to show you 2 really cool tricks to test your starter to see if it's ready. Fill a cup up with some lukewarm water and add about a teaspoon of your starter right into the water. If it floats, it's ready. If it sinks to the bottom, then continue feeding it for another day or 2, morning and night. It's ready! The second test takes a little bit longer, but basically you're going to fill up a jar with some of your starter and place a rubber band around, right where it ends. Put a towel over it and let it sit in a cabinet for about 4 hours. If it rises or doubles over the rubber band, your starter is ready. Now that you have a well-fed, beautiful, bubbly starter, you are ready to make all of the sourdough recipes you want to make. So I hope that you will stay tuned as I continue to post more sourdough recipes. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.